Okay. So basically, I will try to cover up this technology, which is gaining quite a momentum current months and the current years, I could say. So just to give you an overview of what this technology is all about. Do you want me to conduct in English, or do you want it as a mixture of English and Hindi,
Ma'am,
Dr.
it can
Piyush?
be in both. We can go for the English.
English? Okay, so we go for English. Okay. So basically, अगर हम hydroponics as a technology, if we go to understand, what you have to understand is different. Hydroponics में normal traditional जो plant growing method है, उससे hydroponics different कैसा है? तो वो समझने के लिए एक बहुत important चीज होती है, वो है soil. हमको पता है soil का महत्व क्या है, importance of soil in plant cultivation. Okay, so soil का it is a surface material on the earth. It consists of particle matter and उसमें बहुत अच्छा plant growth होता है. Okay. और उस फंक्शन अगर हम देखेंगे इन रिलेशन टू प्लांट्स, तो बेसिक फंक्शन उसका ये होता है कि इट प्रोवाइड्स सपोर्ट टू द प्लांट्स. ओके, हाउ व्हाट काइंड ऑफ सपोर्ट, मतलब जो प्लांट के रूट से उसको वो बाइंड के रखता है और उसके वजह से प्लांट वर्टिकली अच्छे से ग्रो हो पाता है. सॉइल इज लूज, दैट मीन्स द रूट इज नॉट हेल्ड स्ट्रांगली and the plant will dislodge. Okay, so basic function root का soil का ये होता है कि वो plant को support provide करता है. एंड दूसरा मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट फंक्शन इज इट इज अ सोर्स ऑफ वाटर एंड न्यूट्रिएंट्स. हम जो भी प्लांट के ग्रोथ के लिए डालते हैं, जो भी फर्टिलाइजर या पानी जो भी हम डालते हैं, वो हम सॉइल में डालते हैं, से वो प्लांट के रूट में जाता है और वो रूट से पूरे प्लांट में ट्रांसलोकेट होता है, वहां से जाता है. तो बेसिकली सॉइल के ऊपर मैंने क्यों फोकस किया है कि हाइड्रोपोनिक्स और रेगुलर एग्रीकल्चर में सबसे बड़ा डिफरेंस है सॉइल. तो हाइड्रोपोनिक्स, we'll come to that later on again to soil. जो what are the other growth requirements, अगर हम देखेंगे कि जो प्लांट को ग्रो करने के लिए सॉइल तो हमने देखा कि बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. ओके, उसके साथ साथ सिर्फ सॉइल होना सफिशिएंट नहीं है. इट इज नॉट द ओनली थिंग. यू नीड द प्रॉपर टेम्परेचर, क्योंकि आपने देखा होगा कि हर जगह पे एक ही टाइप का वेजिटेशन नहीं होता है. व्हाई? दैट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द टेम्परेचर दैट इज देयर ऑफ दैट रीजन. ओके, the water, okay, and the food that you're giving the plants to grow, okay, and where you are growing those plants. So all these are the other important growth requirements. Okay, now coming back to soil, what is different in hydroponics and traditional agriculture? Okay, हाइड्रोपोनिक्स का मतलब होता है, हाइड्रो मीन्स वाटर. सो बेसिकली आपने सॉइल निकाल दिया है एंड यू आर ग्रोइंग प्लांट्स इन वाटर. लुक्स बट इट कैन बी डन. ओके, सो व्हेन वी स्पोक ऑफ द ग्रोथ पैरामीटर्स, वी विल कंपेयर एवरी पैरामीटर with in hydroponics and in the conventional method of growing plants. Light, आपको दोनों में, both, whether you're hydroponics or whether you're doing conventional, you need light. Now, what is the source of light? Sunlight. Sunlight is extremely important to grow plants. But in hydroponics, as a new technology, you also can use artificial lights. Okay, so nowadays, people are even growing plants in godowns or in subways, in closed rooms where there is no sunlight. So how are they growing? They are growing with the help of artificial lights. Okay. Temperature, you need temperature in soil growing plants. You need to maintain your temperature in hydroponics also. So in both types of cultivation, you need to maintain the temperature. Okay, as per the plant need. Okay, जैसे हमने बताया, as I was telling you, that there are certain plants which are seasonal. You get mango only in a particular season, or you will get green peas in a particular season. Okay, so that is because of the temperature. Then food means nutrients. Okay, whatever fertilizer or whatever nutrients that you are adding, I will talk on this in detail slides. So whether you are growing in soil, whether you are growing using hydroponics, you have to supply plants the food that it needs. Now food for the plants is nothing but major and minor elements. जैसे हमारी body में we need carbohydrates, we need proteins, we need fats. Okay, we also need vitamins. We also vitamins and some other supplements that you need, some other mineral elements that you need. Okay, same way even plants need major and minor elements, good healthy growth. Okay. Now, room to grow. What do you mean by room to grow? If you are growing in soil, suppose the size of the pot. Okay, you cannot grow a tomato plant in a small pot, and you need not grow like say leafy vegetables in big pots, which are very deep. So, room to grow, you have to select as per what you are growing. In both the cases, you can grow whether you are growing in on a bed. You have a bed that you make in the field. Okay, or you grow in the pot, or you grow in the field. Wherever you are growing, the plant roots will need some room to grow. Okay, you need water in soil growing also, you need water in soilless growing also. Okay, and it is as per the plant need. Okay, now if whatever questions you have, you can please put it in the chat. Okay, now we'll try to understand hydroponics. Hydroponics is a new technique. So 3 questions that you need to find answers for. Okay, one is what is hydroponics? Okay, why are people switching to hydroponics? Okay, what is the reason for you to start doing hydroponics, or why are people getting so interested in hydroponics, and how do you do it? Okay, so there are these 3 basic questions that you need to understand today as a basic concept of hydroponics. Now, if you go to see, now it's a big concept. But remember, is a growing technique. It's not magic. It's just an alternate technique to growing plants. Okay. The basic which we saw in the earlier slide, the sunlight, the water requirement, the food requirement, the temperature. Okay. These basic plant requirements are the same, whether you are growing through hydroponics or whether you are growing through the soil. So it's just an alternate technique. The plant requirements do not change. You have to still give the plant the amount of sunlight that it needs, the amount of nutrient that it needs, whether you're growing hydroponically or you're growing in this. Hydroponics is not organic. Get this thing very clear. It is residue free. We try not to use pesticides. In fact, we do not use 99% of the times we do not use pesticides when you are growing hydroponically. Okay, so it is residue free. But you cannot call it organic, and it is not magic. Once you understand technique, you can easily do it. Now, just a bit of history. We are talking it as, okay, it is a recent technique, but it is not recent. It is as old as the Aztecs, if you've heard of the floating gardens. Initially, right from 1600s, there has been mention of this word or this technique as hydroponics. You have these floating gardens. You have seen, in fact, even on the lake in Kashmir, if you have seen, those floating things. So that is nothing but a kind of hydroponics itself. And the term hydroponics was coined in 19. So you can see that it is not a very recent technique as people claim it to be. So this is just for your understanding. One important thing is people have been using hydroponics in NASA in space explorations also. Now, why do you want? So now we've answered the question as to what is hydroponics. We've seen that it is an alternate growing technique. Why? The next question that we had to ask was, why do you need to do hydroponics? What are the advantages? So if you see that when you are growing plants hydroponically, so you have eliminated soil, there is no soil. And if you see, there is 70% of plant diseases are soil borne. It comes from the soil. So if you actually eliminate soil, you have eliminated almost 70% of the diseases. Once you've eliminated the diseases, the lesser. Second thing is hydroponics focuses on root growth, healthy root growth, because you are just concentrating on the nutrition part of it. You are just concentrating on giving it the exact thing. You are having good root growth, which will ensure the nutrient uptake. The nutrients that the root takes up is extremely improved. The nutrition is very good. There are no soil-borne diseases, as I told you. You can control. Now, when we see the systems, how do you do it? Then you will understand that it can be controlled. Today we are so used to having everything on the click of a button. So these hydroponic systems can be controlled. The greenhouses that you make for growing these kind of vegetables and fruits, you can actually control even the greenhouses. So you can automate the system. You can have an app. You can design your entire planting schedule, your harvesting schedule. Everything can be automated. Everything can be controlled by an app. So you can control and automate the system. You can maximize your growing space. Now, this is one point. If you just give me a few minutes, I'll make you understand. Maximizing your growing space means if you are growing only on the ground, you are only using one level. But if you grow vertically on the same piece of land, the amount of tiers that you put up vertically, that much increase in produce you will get. So if you have like 3 tiers on the same piece of land, that means you have multiplied your output by 3 times. So that is how that is what you mean by maximizing the growing space. You can grow vertically. You can have vertical systems in the form of towers, in the form of frames. So that is what you mean by maximizing the growing space. Less nutrient loss. Why? Because you don't have soil. So if you understand the chemistry of plant nutrition, when you apply anything in the soil, there is a chemistry that is happening in the soil. So these nutrients can get fixed. They can go out of the root zone. They will not be available to the plants anymore. Okay. But when you're doing it in hydroponics, there is nothing, no such chemistry reactions happening. You are giving the plant what it wants and the plant is taking up what it wants. So there is less nutrient loss happening. That is why, because you are automating to such an extent, you can plan to such an extent, you are not giving anything extra, you can stabilize the yields, you can get higher yields. One reason is because all your nutrient uptake has improved. You have maximized your growing space. There is less loss of nutrients that is happening. The yields are stable and faster, and that is why you can get higher yields. Okay, now the 2 questions that initially we asked: what is hydroponics and why should you go in for hydroponics? Also, another point very important is city dwellers, people who are staying in cities. They can actually think of utilizing their terraces or their small pieces of fallow lands and start to grow food. There you can ensure fresh food that can be grown. You don't have the food traveling miles from one field to the marketplace from where the end consumer is buying. It's like kilometers away, where you are giving rise to a lot of pollution. You're increasing the carbon footprint. So that all also is taken into consideration. And hydroponics is given so much of an importance because you need to maximize whatever available land we have currently to grow food. Now coming to how to do it. Okay. Now, how do you do this technique? There are 2 ways to do this technique. As I told you, the word itself means hydro means water. So you have a technique wherein going only using water. There is also another way of doing it is substrate based. So you have some inert substrate. You do not have soil. आपको दोनों मेथड में आपका soil use नहीं होता है. Water is plain water. So have something which is totally inert. Inert मतलब वो प्लांट ग्रोथ में कोई हेल्प नहीं करता है, केमिकली कोई हेल्प नहीं करता है, कोई न्यूट्रिशनली हेल्प नहीं करता है, सिर्फ और सिर्फ सपोर्ट देने का काम करता है. ओके, तो आपको अगर याद होगा कि सॉइल के 2 फंक्शंस थे, एक तो सपोर्ट देना था, दूसरा न्यूट्रिशन देना था. हमने सॉइल तो हटा दिया, ओके, लेकिन हमने ये भी बोला है कि प्लांट रिक्वायरमेंट्स आर द सेम. That means these functions को भी पूरा करना है. You have to provide nutrients and you have to give the plant support to grow. So both of these things have to be taken care of even if you're doing hydroponics. Okay. So there are these 2 methods. One is water based, one is substrate based. Substrate is an जिसकी खुद की कोई fertility नहीं है, कोई nutrition वो provide नहीं करेगा, सिर्फ और सिर्फ support देगा. ठीक है. अगर हम वाटर बेस्ड सिस्टम्स को समझेंगे, सबसे सिंपलेस्ट सिस्टम बोलते हैं क्रैट की सिस्टम या डीप वाटर कल्चर. इसमें अगर आप देख रहे होंगे, आप देखोगे तो आपका जो पॉट है वो सॉर्ट ऑफ होल्ड पॉट है. and you have given some inert material inside, and the root of the plant is dipping in the water below. अगर आपको दिख रहा है तो जो नीचे पानी है उसमें से फ्रूट्स डिप हो रहे हैं. ओके, आपका प्लांट वही पानी एब्जॉर्ब करके ग्रो कर लेगा, एंड वो पानी में आपने उसके लिए जो लगता है वो डाला है. सो दैट वाटर इज नॉट प्लेन वाटर, it is nutrient water, and the roots are just dipping in that nutrient water, and they are absorbing the nutrients from there, and they are growing. You do not have to do any ploughing, you do not have to do any manuring, you do not have to do any weeding. ये सब कोई चीज आपको करने की जरूरत नहीं होती है इस पर्टिकुलर मेथड में. यू जस्ट हैव टू, द रूट ऑफ द प्लांट इज डिपिंग इन द न्यूट्रिएंट वाटर, यू डू नॉट इवन हैव टू चेंज द वाटर. तो आप इससे अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं कि आपके जो शॉर्ट टर्म क्रॉप्स हैं, जैसे आपके लीफी वेजिटेबल्स है, यू कैन ग्रो ऑल योर लीफी वेजिटेबल्स बाय दिस मेथड. Second method is in the water-based system is a Dutch bucket system. इसका नाम Dutch bucket इसलिए है कि इसका फर्स्ट डिस्कवरी हॉलैंड में हुआ था, इसका डिजाइनिंग वहां हुआ था, इसके लिए उसको Dutch bucket बोला जाता है. Okay, so I am just showing you all the systems together, mainly because जो CRAT की है वो सबसे पहला डिजाइन किया हुआ water-based system है, and it is the simplest of design. One more thing that is lacking in the CRAT की system is ये circulating नहीं है. मतलब आपने जो पानी डाला है उतना ही डाला है, वही प्लांट यूज कर रहा है और उसी में वो ग्रो हो रहा है. That water is not circulating. But in the other three systems, in the Dutch bucket, in the NFT, in the ebb and flow, whatever water that you're using, nutrient water that you're using, it will circulate through the system. Okay, that means it is flowing through the system. जो एक्सेस पानी है वो वापस से नीचे आता है और फिर मेन टैंक में इट कम्स बैक. सो बेसिकली यू हैव अ क्लोज्ड सिस्टम और अ सर्कुलेटिंग सिस्टम in water-based systems. Okay, so Dutch bucket, NFT, and ebb and flow. All these three are active systems, circulating systems where water is conserved. This is another major advantage of hydroponics. कि आपको हर बार अलग पानी लाके नहीं डालना है. इनिशियली टैंक में पानी डाला है, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन हाउ मेनी प्लांट्स यू आर ग्रोइंग. आपने पानी डाला है, आपको न्यूट्रिशन पानी में ऐड करना है, एंड दैट वाटर इज सर्क्यूलेटिंग इन द सिस्टम. अनदर थिंग, रिमेंबर ऑटोमेशन, सो यू कैन एक्चुअली टाइम इट आउट. आप टाइमर लगा सकते हैं कि आपको कितने टाइम बाद आपको वो सर्क्यूलेशन साइकिल फॉलो करना है. दैट यू कैन टाइम इट आउट. सो टाइमर बेस्ड हो जाएगा. आपको कोई हाथ गंदे नहीं, अगेन नो वीडिंग, nothing you have to do, no ploughing, no manuring. Whatever you have to do is adding the nutrients in the main tank and the water will flow. So Dutch bucket looks like your pots and you have to grow one plant in one pot. Okay, this Dutch bucket system is extremely suitable for your tomatoes and your cucumbers, zucchini, colored capsicum, all those vegetable plants. You can grow in these Dutch bucket systems. NFT stands for nutrient fill technique. So again, it's a circulating water-based system. Here also, if you see, you have pipes. These pipes will have inlets on one end and outlets on the other end. And all the pipes are connected to one common drain pipe. Drain pipe will take the nutrient water tank. So that is how it will keep circulating the water again and again. NFT systems are more suitable for your leafy vegetables like your lettuce, even spinach. People are also doing spinach in it. The last system is ebb and flow. That is not very common. Mostly it is used in nurseries, where you have to raise saplings. So ebb and flow systems are basically used in nurseries. So basically what you do is you have a basin and a sink down. So how you block your, suppose how you block your wash basin and then you gather water and then you just open the drain and the entire water comes down. That is exactly what happens in ebb and flow. You have one cycle of filling, you fill, and after that suddenly you will remove it and the entire water that has gathered will come down into the drain below. So again, there you are recirculating it. It's the same water that is being used to fill also and drain also. Mostly it is used in nurseries. Okay. all the techniques you see that the water is being absorbed from below. आप ऊपर से पानी नहीं डाल रहे हैं कहीं पे भी. आप जैसे वाटरिंग करते हैं हम रेगुलरली और प्लांट्स को नॉर्मली जो वाटरिंग होता है वो हाइड्रोपोनिक्स में नहीं हो रहा है. सारा एब्जॉर्प्शन, सारा न्यूट्रिएंट एब्जॉर्प्शन थ्रू द रूट्स इट इज हैपनिंग लो. ओके. नाउ दीज, एज आई टोल्ड यू, दीज आर आल्सो कॉल्ड एज सर्कुलेटिंग सिस्टम्स बिकॉज आपका क्लोज लूप है. आपने जो पानी से स्टार्ट किया था, हाँ, यू मे टॉप अप समटाइम बिकॉज द रूट्स आर एब्जॉर्बिंग, आपका पानी का लेवल कम होगा. Okay, so you'll have to top up the nutrient water, but you don't have to change the entire water. So these water-based systems are also called as circulating systems or active systems. So this is one advantage of hydroponics, that it can also help you to save water. Now coming to the other type of system that is used in hydroponics is substrate-based systems. So if you see, they look more or less like your ट्रेडिशनल फार्मिंग होगी. जैसे आप अगर लेफ्ट हैंड का पिक्चर अगर आप देख रहे होंगे तो it looks like you are growing it in beds or you are growing it in grow bags, but these are called as troughs or inert substrate भरा हुआ है. So what are the examples of these inert substrates? You have rock wool, clay balls, you have कोकोया में सबसे ज्यादा कोकोपीट यूज होता है. इनफैक्ट I think 99% of the places in India, they use coco peat. Coco peat is nothing but जो कोकोनट होता है ना, कोकोनट के ऊपर का जो फाइब्रस पार्ट होता है, जो कोकोनट इंडस्ट्री का वेस्ट है, coco peat is used to grow in hydroponics. Okay, so you have these substrate based systems wherein you have filled it with an inert substrate. In India, majorly it is coco peat. You can put a drip line to these kind of systems as well. Okay, there also you can time it out कि nutrient water आपको देना है, आपका ड्रिप का आउटलेट इज नियर द रूट्स, जैसा आपका रेगुलर फार्मिंग में होता है. द ओनली डिफरेंस इज रेगुलर फार्मिंग में आपने सॉइल डाला हुआ होता है, इसमें आपने एक इनर्ट सबस्ट्रेट डाला है. Okay, and you can use these substrates. Okay, the difference between substrate based systems and water based systems is यहाँ पे पानी सर्क्यूलेट नहीं होगा. यहाँ पे जितना आपने डाला है इट विल रन टू वेस्ट, यानी जितना है उतना ही रहेगा. यू कैन नॉट एक्स्ट्रा वाटर. दैट इज व्हाई these systems are called as passive systems or non-circulatory systems. These are also good for growing your vegetables. Okay, these systems, Dutch bucket, these systems are all very good for growing vegetables because it has enough room for the root to grow well. The roots have to be little deep. They can go a little deep in these kind of systems. NFT, Kratky, ebb and flow, these are not good for vegetables. They are better suited for leafy vegetables. Okay, now how does it work? Now we have seen the system and I kept on talking about nutrient waters. I also said that why hydroponics is good because it is favoring a lot of wide root development. Now the entire concept of hydroponic where we saw many times no wastage, less wastage of nutrients. Now how do you design these nutrients? So nutrients are the major concept in hydroponics. So in hydroponics, you are considering the plant age and what it needs. Okay, so if you are giving it exactly in the amount that it needs, okay, so it can absorb whatever it needs and there is less wastage. It's all about healthy roots. They are more vigorous. So plants that are grown hydroponics are more vigorous because little energy is diverted into searching for water and nutrients. Now let me just explain this. When you are growing plants in soil, the roots are growing and the roots are absorbing that you're giving it. It may so happen that the nutrients are not needs, so they have to grow. They have to go in search of nutrients. They have to go in search of water. That going in search of nutrients and going in search of water needs energy. The plant root has to spend energy to grow in search of nutrients. In hydroponics, what you're doing, they are growing in water. Everything is very near to the roots. So they do not have to spend energy to go in search of nutrients. Second point, it is the nutrients that you're adding is the roots can immediately take up. Okay, so they are saving all their energy into going in search of nutrients. That energy they will channelize in fruiting. That is why plants that are grown hydroponically are growing more vigorously. Remember, stable and faster yields. is because of this also, because you're giving nutrition, whatever it needs, right near the roots, in the form that it needs, in the amount that it needs. So there is no wastage of energy to go in search. And that is why you will always see good, thick, clustered, white root growth in hydroponics. To is the most important aspect of growing hydroponically. You to talk of which nutrients. I said major and minor nutrients. So what are they? As I said, we need carbohydrate, protein, fats, vitamins, minerals. Same way, what do plants need to grow? So they need 16 essential elements. Essential means you have to give them all 16. You cannot minus any of them, because they are all 16 are essential. And this any plant growth will not be healthy. Now, soil grown plants also, this applies to hydroponically grown plants also. So nutrition wise, plant requirement wise, remember plant requirements are not changing in hydroponics. So that is common whether you are growing in soil or whether you are growing hydroponically. What exactly changes is the amount, how much you are giving. So if I talk of nutrients, you have carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, very important, which the plants take directly from atmosphere or the water that you're giving, the regular irrigation water that you're giving. Okay, you do not formulate these in fertilizers. Then coming to talk of major and minor elements. Now, if you see, they are of two categories. The plant nutrient requirement is of two types. Macronutrients, which are nutrients that the plant requires in larger amount to the others. So you have nitrogen, N, you have phosphorus, you have potassium. These three, N, P, K, they are known as primary nutrients. They are required in the most amounts. Okay. Then other three are calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. These three are called as secondary nutrients. They are required in lesser amounts as compared to your primary nutrients. Then comes the 6 micronutrients which the plants need: zinc, iron, copper, manganese, molybdenum, and boron. So these 6 are micronutrients. They are required in much lesser amount as compared to the macronutrients. But nevertheless, both of these macro and micronutrients are absolutely essential. You cannot eliminate even one from this. Okay. Now, this is common in soil growing also. Now, let's come back to hydroponics. How do you utilize these nutrients in hydroponics? So when you formulate a nutrition, recipe, a nutrient recipe for growing plants, you can do it in 2 ways. You use it as a 2-part nutrition, or you use it as a 3-part. Now, what do you mean by 2-part and 3-part? So basically, you have 2 solutions in the 2-part. Now, what are these 2 solutions? These solutions will incorporate all these 12 nutrients that are absolutely essential. A and B does not mean A is macro and B is micro. It's not like that. It is A and B depending upon the compatibility of the nutrients. Okay. So you have solution A, solution B, crop specific to the crop that you are growing, because the crop requirement will change. Another thing to note here is, as the plant grows, as it changes from one stage to the other stage, the requirements will change. Which requirements? Nutrient requirements. For example, if I give you a human example, have a baby, a just born baby is the mother's milk is sufficient for it. So for say the first 4-5 months, if you don't give it anything from outside, it's okay. It can thrive on the mother's milk. As it starts growing bigger, as it gets into the toddler stage, it needs more nutrition. As it grows a little more infant, you have more nutrition. Then a teenager, then an adult. So as the baby is growing, its nutritional requirements are changing. Similarly, in plants, when the plant, they have growth stages. So the minute you put the seed, the germination, okay, the first stage, which is germination, it can happen only in water. You don't need any nutrition for germinating a seed. The seed will germinate in darkness and in water. Okay, moisture, humidity. Next stage is the transplanting or the vegetative growth, where there is only leaves that are growing. The plant is picking up height and there are only leaves. This is the first stage, which is the vegetative stage. Here, the nutritional requirement is different. The next stage is the flowers, okay, which is a reproductive stage of the plant. So the plant will start to flower. So when it starts to flower, again, its nutritional needs will change. After flowering, you have fruiting, okay. So when it goes into the fruiting stage, the nutritional requirement will change. So plant, and depending upon the stage, your nutritional requirements will change. So you have A and a B. Depending upon the compatibility of the nutrients, that can be designed for every stage. Okay. As against this, you have three parts. Three-part nutrients you normally have it as a vegetative nutrients, flowering nutrients, fruiting nutrients. So depending upon the stages, you can design the nutritional recipe. Now, I hope if anything is confusing, you please ask me at the end of the session. I'm ready to answer all the questions. How do you monitor? How do you know that whatever you're putting is correct? And as the plant, as I told you, as the plant grows, the nutritional needs change. So how do you know in the nutrient solution that whatever I've added is like up to the need of the plant? So we monitor it. You have to monitor it by two methods. And it is only these two methods. One is the pH, okay, extremely important. And the other is the EC. EC is the electrical conductivity. So as the state changes, your EC will change, your electrical conductivity will change. Electrical conductivity basically is the measure of how much of salt is present in your nutritional solution. So as the state changes, the nutritional requirement is higher. So your EC has to sort of increase. pH will remain the same. pH will ensure that whatever nutrients you are adding is absorbed by the roots, and that can happen only at a particular pH, which is 5.5 to 6.5. I don't know how many are from scientific backgrounds, so I am only sticking to the basics. So pH, ideal pH for growing plant, this is also in soil growing, this is not change. Okay. EC will change as per the stage, it will keep on increasing. And ideal pH, as I told you, is 5.5 to 6.5. Now, what are the nutrient sources? Now, if it is getting too technical, just understand that for easy use, these are readily available. But if at all you want to make your own recipe, if you want to do the blending, the mixing at your end, you can use all these which are available in the market. You have forms available and phosphated forms available. You also have organic fertilizers. So you can use organic fertilizers and grow hydroponic. Use will not be called as so you could use some seaweed extract, some biostimulant, some protein hydrolysate, some humic products to help your fertilizers. You cannot sort of change your entire chemical fertilizers with these organics. Okay. Now, if you want me to explain this, I can explain it to you, but if it is too technical, I will stick to the bare basics. Okay. Now, there is an absorption chemistry, there is a soil chemistry. So whatever nutrients that you're adding can be only taken up in the ionic form. Okay, either as a positive ion or as a negative ion. And unless and until all nutrients are in the form that they are needed to be in, the plant root will not take it up. Okay, so applies even for organic nutrients, even if you are putting some manure to grow your plants, unless and until that complex manure or that complex protein is not broken into basic ionic form nutrients, the plant will not be able to take it up. Okay, so what is the advantage in hydroponic is you are giving them the nutrients when you add in water, they get converted into the ionic form immediately. And hence it is in the readily available form. That is why I said, whatever you are adding, the plant root can easily take it up. This is the soil because a lot of other components with which these forms can react. And if they react, then they will get lost or they will get fixed. They will not be available for the plant roots. So this does not happen in hydroponics, and that is why you have faster growth. Okay. Now this is the same thing which I have already told you, 5.5 to 6.5 is the pH. Why it is the ideal pH is because in that all the nutrients can be taken up. Okay. If the pH is little more towards acid or a little more towards alkaline or basic, some nutrients lost out. So that is why you have to maintain the pH between 5.5 to 6.5. And this is just a picture showing how you can measure the EC. It's very easy. Nowadays, you have all handheld devices. You just have to put it in the solution and it will give you a reading. Okay. How do you adjust it? Suppose if you find that your EC is lower than what you want, so you have to add more nutrients. And if you find that the EC is higher than what you want, it's basically okay. There are certain points that you remember regarding nutrition, whether you are using 2-part or 3-part. You remember that it is crop specific. It is stage specific. What by stage, whether it's the vegetative stage, whether it's the flowering stage, whether it is the fruiting stage. Okay. Another thing is it is readily available in the ionic form, as I told you, and it is therefore ready to be absorbed, and you are giving it in the right proportion. And hence, your what do you say, the yields in hydroponics is higher. Okay, so you have various various nutritional combinations available per crops. Okay, now these are some grades. You can make these are not very difficult, but it is definitely difficult for me to cover it in one session. Okay, these are in simple enough. Once you understand it, you can actually formulate it at your own end. Okay, and so what are the plus points? Ready to use nutrients, maximum space, and environment friendly. Now, hydroponics, where you can use it. You can use it to grow food. Where can you grow food? You can grow it in cities. You can grow in any fallow lands or open spaces that are present in the cities. You can even grow indoors. Okay, indoors, the only difference is the light sunlight. It is LED lights or grow lights that are used. You can use it in nurseries extensively. Nurseries may to germinate your seeds and supply saplings. A lot of people buy saplings. They don't buy seeds. Okay. So nurseries, you can use it for medicinal herbs if you want to grow some herbs at home. Okay. For secondary, even as a commercial industry, ayurvedic or herbal formulations, if you want to enhance the metabolites, you can use it. You can use it for growing flowers. Okay, for edible reasons, there is a concept called as edible flowers. You must have seen. Aesthetic reasons or commercial reasons. Okay, so now these are some commercial production photographs of hydroponic greenhouses or sites, and below is at the home level or the hobby level. You can grow from your grill. So if you see the level, you can grow even in your grill. You can grow in your balconies. You can grow on the terraces to absolutely commercial productions. Okay. Now, there are some common questions. I have tried to address them in whether it's organic. No, it's not organic. Do you have different kind of seeds if you're growing in hydroponics? No, you have the same seeds that you use for soil growing, because the seed does not understand whether you are growing it in soil or whether you're growing it in an inert substrate, as long as you are giving the nutrition it needs and it is getting the support that it wants. Okay, so plants do not really understand that. What is the minimum area for commercial growing? If you want to do it as a small scale business, at least 10,000 square feet, at least. Okay, if you're growing on a small business. Can I grow strawberries, blueberries? You can not grow in Mumbai. It depends, because you are not controlling the ambient temperature so much or the regional temperature so much. If you are in a cold region, you can definitely try. People are trying. Okay. So if you are growing, say in or staying in colder regions, you can try definitely. Blueberries, people are trying now. So it depends on the season, maybe not throughout the year, but at the apt season. Cost of the setup will depend on what you want to grow. Okay. So if you are only leafy vegetables, cycles, and if you want it completely automated, completely digitalized, completely controlled, the cost is going to be that high. If you are planning to go with small Kratky systems or small grow bags, then the cost is going to be relatively lesser. Okay, but everything depends on what you want to grow and where you are trying to sell. Okay. Do we have separate nutrients? Formulation wise, maybe yes, but the sources are the same. We are formulating from exactly the same sources. In fact, we have used hydroponic nutrients in regular soil also. That is what we do on the terrace, on our R&D facility. This is what we do. We are using hydroponic nutrients even in soil, and it's giving extremely good results. Does it reduce in hydroponics? To an extent, yes, because they are spending lesser energy. You are giving the nutrition that it wants in the right amount. So flowering is better, flowering is faster. So slightly, yes. So maybe in soil, if you take 4 cycles. Okay, what about the yield increase in quality? As I told you, around 1.5 times yield increase can be seen. Quality definitely can be better, is better. So in most of the case, much better.